Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to Purple Friends.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm your co-host, Joe.
And I'm your co-host, Co.
And we're back here today with another lovely episode.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah.
I always found this topic very interesting. I'm really going to say what we're talking about today. We're going to be talking about temperament.
Yes. Not just
Cool.
for dogs and babies,
But mostly about babies.
but also applies to
Adults.
you know.
But temperament is very cool and I think is often overlooked. I think a lot of the times people overlook it in favor of like personality.
It's a big part of the nature versus nurture debate.
Yes. So I'm very excited to dive into that. And I'm sure you all will have very relatable things to connect with us.
Oh my gosh.
on.
Yeah. We're going to talk about some stuff and you're going to be like, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, that's me. So
Or I know someone like that,
Yeah.
or my child was like that.
it's
or-
going to be a fun episode. We're going to do fun stuff.
Yeah. But first, of course, we're going to be doing Little Gratefuls.
Yay.
Would you like to go first?
I can go first. I think you went first last time.
Yes, I did. It was chocolate milk.
Well, actually, kind of in a very similar vein, I've got a drink in a cup that's brown. I'm bringing cafe to
Wow.
our podcast here, My Little Grateful. I'm so grateful for coffee right now.
That's wild because in the 10 years that we've known each other, I have always been exclusively almost the only coffee drinker in this house.
Yes, I have refused coffee more times than I can count.
And suddenly, one day, I don't know, something happened and you just enjoy yourself an evening cuppa.
Can I talk about what happened?
Please.
So I used to drink a lot of energy drinks. And then I cut those like kind of cold turkey January. And I've done that before several times. And I was like, this time I really don't want to keep drinking them. So I need some kind of caffeine. And then I was like, oh yeah, what do normal people do for caffeine? So I tried coffee. And because I haven't really had coffee and because I had spent like 2 months not having any caffeine, wow, I can really feel it. It's amazing.
That's great.
And I drink it with a lot of creamer in it, so I'm not very good at it yet. And it is so good, y'all. Love a little coffee milkshake.
Yeah, no, you make some very good coffee. I mean, and the funny thing is, you've always made me coffee.
Yes.
Great coffee, but you would never have any yourself. So I'm so happy and pleased that you are having coffee now.
Yeah, I would always kind of like not believe it when people would tell me that I made good coffee. I had no frame of reference. I still don't really, but I like the stuff that we got. So coffee.
I like that.
Cafe, cafecito, cafe con pan, all of that. I love all that stuff.
I love it.
Coffee cake. Oh,
I do enjoy having like an evening cup with you.
yes. Oh, did we mention this is an evening? This is an evening as hell recording. It is.
Oh yeah, it's
8
like 9
p.m. on
8.
Sunday. This is supposed to be released in less than 12 hours.
We just put our child to bed.
Yeah, and we ran down here, but not before I poured myself a cup of 8 p.m. coffee. You're up.
My little grateful is just that I finally bought a new computer chair. Oh my God.
Yay.
I'm so excited. I cannot tell you, even just thinking about it currently, I am so aware of how uncomfortable I am in this chair.
Yeah. I'm sitting in a drum chair right now, and it's
Oof.
like, this is not my super nice desk chair.
Yeah, this is a folding chair. So, I mean,
Yeah. But it is sleek and
Slightly cushioned.
unstained.
what?
Like, I feel like folding chairs are usually like, you go to somebody's house and you're like, let me borrow one of your folding chairs. Their folding chairs are a mess. You know what I mean?
Like dusty and have cobwebs in the little corners.
Yeah, like
and
they were definitely made in the 1900s.
made of like sturdy plastic,
Yeah, or like
metal.
brass.
Yeah. No, this is a nice one, but it's still a folding chair.
Yeah, it's nothing close to a good chair.
Can I speak about the chair I got?
I would love to hear it.
So this computer chair seems to be pretty plush, luxurious in that sense. And I got it because I'm in, okay. Oh yeah. This is what I was going to get into is that like I top load my weeks where I work like sometimes 3 10-hour days where I'm like literally just sitting at my computer. And then not to mention like the admin stuff that I do throughout the week or whatever else. And also that's my desk. I sit there a lot outside of work as well. I game there. I journal there. I usually paint or create or do some shenanigans at my desk. I'm at my desk like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just laughing because, wow, I'm at my desk a lot.
90% of the time. Yeah, that's a lot.
That's okay. That's maybe an overestimation, but a lot. And my chair is horrible. This chair is very nice. And I got this chair specifically because the armrests, how do I explain this? They kind of fold down.
They like flip out.
They flip out and so like you can have like a platform chair and it's like wider. So either you can sit on the chair cross-legged, which is really great for me because I do that a lot. Or what I'm thinking is I'll probably either have Dipper, our Chihuahua dog, our Chihuahua dog, sitting next to me, or more likely my 4-year-old.
Yeah. There's a lot of things attempting to get in the way of our night recording.
Yeah, if you hear some growls or drips in the background, it's fine.
Yes, it's just our house and our animals.
Our house noises. Yeah. But yes, I'm so excited for this computer chair. So excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited for you to get a computer chair because earlier this week you sat in my computer chair for a little bit and you were like, wow, I didn't realize.
It was like, I am speechless by
yeah, it was bad.
by the difference I felt. And like, honestly, like I've been experiencing some lower lumbar pain. So it's just like, you just got to do it. You just got to buy the dang chair.
Yep.
So I bought the dang chair and I'm so excited and it comes in a week.
Good for you, buddy.
Yay.
Shall we talk about temperament?
Oh my gosh. Please.
Yeah.
Let's talk about temperament. Can you just define it for us, please?
Yes, I would love to. So in psychology, temperament refers to like your innate, biologically based individual differences in emotional reactivity and self-regulation. So it's like the how of behavior instead of the what.
Right. So it's kind of how we show up to situations. And we're going to get into, honestly, like all the different facets of what that looks like. You know, if we look far enough in history for psychology, it gets a little wild.
Oh my gosh, yes, it does. So the idea of temperament dates back to Greco-Roman medicine. So think like Hippocrates, the Hippocratic Oath. At the time, they believed temperament was dictated by your bodily fluids. If you've ever
we've all heard
of,
this, yeah,
the humoral system of medicine. So like if you don't know, the 4 humors are blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. I learned that on Sawbones. Thank you, Sawbones. And so while that, of course, was super wrong, obviously, the idea of temperaments and this idea of like an internal nature persisted because it is very relevant still. Like that, we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's a bad idiom.
But yes, I mean, you really can't get away from it because even in the 50s, right, is really when a more modern understanding of these concepts kind of came to be with Stella Chess and Alexander Thomas. They conducted a longitudinal study titled the New York Longitudinal Study.
Yes, good title.
Right. The prevailing psychological thought here was that like children's behavior was almost entirely a result of their parents' choices. And so in the 50s, when Dr. Stella Chess and Dr. Alexander Thomas, they were a wife and husband team like us. They challenged this, and they followed 133 children from infancy into adulthood and proved that babies are born with kind of distinct observational styles and styles to like reacting to the world. And so this study really helped specifically kind of move away from blaming parents for their child's behaviors and instead identified different traits of temperament. So yeah, I mean, when we do infancy studies, you do kind of are looking more at the nature versus the nurture part, right? Because when you're an infant, you don't have there hasn't been a whole lot of time yet for nurture to take effect. And so it really kind of allows researchers and doctors to attribute some behaviors more so to nature. And so, like I said, in this study, it identifies 9 different traits. So we're going to break those down and talk about them each because I think they're all kind of a little fascinating, like I mentioned. Starting with activity level. So this is really just a person's like internal motor, right? Is this person always on the move, or do they prefer more quiet, sedentary play? I have a feeling that we're probably going to end up talking a lot about our daughter because I feel like she's kind of a quintessential type here that we'll talk about.
Yeah, she's 4.5, y'all, when we observe her a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
she's
perfect.
Yeah, and so like she's always been a pretty chill baby,
Yes.
a pretty chill child. And so that kind of speaks to her temperament.
So another one of these 9 traits is this idea of rhythmicity.
Or regularity.
Yeah, you probably know of it more as regularity. Like if someone says like, "Are you regular, hun?" If someone asks like, if you're regular, we know we're talking about, should I talk about it? Should I just say
Yeah, I mean,
the
because
word?
it's definitely part of it. It really does speak to someone's.
Are you going to the bathroom
Yeah.
regularly?
Well, right. That is part of it, right? Like your internal body can you predict it, right?
Yes,
Can you
your
predict?
metabolism is continuous.
Yeah, you can predict when you need to use the bathroom, when you need to go to sleep, when you're hungry, when you need to take a break.
Yeah.
Or is it totally random? I think about, again, we're going to be talking a lot about infancy and child raising because all these studies were done on infants, remember? But yeah, like I think about when, for example, when parents are sleep training their children, and it's like some children can get on a schedule and are predictable. Parents have an easier time to predict when their children are hungry or when they're going to, use the bathroom, when they need a diaper change, when they need to take a nap.
Yep.
And other ones, it's just like, depends on the day.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like getting your kid to sleep through the night is a big part of that. The circadian rhythms, all those rhythms, those internal
Yes.
rhythms.
Exactly. So that is rhythmicity. Oh my God, rhythmicity. Whew. A next one is approach or withdrawal. So this is more so how we approach new things, right? So new foods, new people, new sounds. Do we lean in or do we back away?
Yeah. This is kind of like when people think of temperament, I think a lot of them think of this as like slow to warm versus like, really engaged,
Easygoing.
easy. Yeah. This idea of like approach and withdrawal with other people. I think
Yeah.
a lot of people think of that with temperament.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know that was like my first thought with temperament. To me, temperament is more so like rhythmicity. Like I feel like,
really?
yeah, I feel like
maybe
I attributed
I'm
more
not-
to that.
I shouldn't say that. Maybe I'm not speaking for more than
No.
myself.
I think, I mean, there are 9 different traits.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like, maybe not everyone is thinking of all 9 of these traits, certainly.
But yeah, no, it's really interesting. So yeah, however you approach new things, if you get excited about them or you approach them with a little bit more hesitancy, might speak a little bit more to your temperament style. Adaptability.
Yeah, so that's like how quickly you can pivot when a plan changes. Do you transition easily or do you have a meltdown? I think we're giggling because now we're not just thinking of our daughter, we're also thinking of our daughter's father, which is me.
Yes. And I think a lot of people, and I think there's more to say in modern culture, what impacts this feeling of like, I don't know, crashing out if our plans change. I think that we just live in a culture and a society that maybe like make that a bigger deal, or feel bigger. But yeah, generally speaking, are you a little bit more adaptable, go with the flow? Or is there a little more rigidity to how you approach things?
Yeah, and if you might be, at this point, you might be thinking like, well, whoa, some of these are affected by my diagnosed mental health disorder. And it's like, yep, that's part of it.
Yeah, and you'll see that a lot of these things are actually very closely tied to that, specifically anxiety, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later.
Yeah.
Another trait of temperament is the threshold of responsiveness. So this is really more so like how much input do you need to actually notice a change or notice a thing, right?
I think about like a kid trying to get their attention. Like how many times you have to say their name before they like disengage with what they're doing and react to you.
Interesting. I'm thinking more so of like just noticing environmental things. So like, for example, while we were recording, both of us at some point became aware of a dripping sound in the other room.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and so like, when was that dripping sound at a certain decibel that like my mind brought its attention to it, you know,
Yeah.
versus when it brought your attention to it.
True.
And I'm sure we both have different like sensitivities to when we notice that. Another really common one that I especially see a lot in the workplace is the temperature changes.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I think of like Angela and Oscar from The Office,
Yep.
who are like fighting over literally a 1 degree difference on the thermometer. And it's like, if you notice it, you notice it. And that kind of speaks to temperament.
Yeah, I knew somebody at one of my old office jobs who she could sense when the temperature was down by 1 degree. And people said that she did this passive aggressively, but she did it like out of self-preservation, I know, but she would put on gloves at that point and begin typing with gloves, like winter gloves, out of protest.
And that is, yeah, like I said, that speaks to temperament. So yeah, when do you start to notice things? Wow, another example comes to mind, like how loud does your alarm clock have to be, for example?
How many alarm clocks do you need?
Correct. Like I think those are all other very, very good examples of this kind of threshold trait.
This is fun. We should
I
do
know.
this every week.
I know it is fun because, like, yeah, there are some people who send like those like alarms.
Oh my God, and they have 11 of them in a row. And I'm like, what does your person who sleeps in your bed think about all that?
Yeah, I'm sure. Because if they're like, I don't know, I could not.
If you started doing that, we would have to have separate bedrooms. It's not feasible.
But what I'm saying is, I couldn't wake up to something like that. Literally, I've started to have to use alarm clocks recently again because.
Just every once in a while, we gotta be somewhere in the morning.
Well, and also like our daughter isn't waking up at the butt crack of dawn all the time anymore.
That
So
natural
she's
alarm clock.
the natural alarm clock is gone. Literally, we slept until 9 the other day, and I was like, "Girl, where were you?" Like,
Yeah, she was mad at me. I was like, I don't know. This never happened before.
but yeah, my alarm clocks are very quiet and very chill, and I only need the one. And I
Usually.
usually wake up like a minute before it actually goes off. So anyway.
So, in addition to that, like threshold of responsiveness, there's also the intensity of the reaction. So, like when you do feel something, is it a 10 out of 10 energy, or is it like a 2 out of 10 energy?
Yeah, that's a really good. I really love temperament. I don't know why
really
it gets so
interesting.
overlooked because I feel like it's so much more. And maybe I feel that now, but anyway, I feel like it's so much more applicable. Like knowing these things about ourselves, I think is so important to just understand. Like, yeah, how responsive or how reactive do you become? You know, like what is your baseline when you hear a loud noise, right? Or when plans change, or
Yeah.
you know, literally anything. And just be aware of that. But yeah, the intensity of the reaction, I think, is very interesting. Yeah, no, it's just very interesting.
Yeah.
I think about like when our daughter finally chooses to cover her ears, you know,
Yeah.
that's like, I think speaks to that.
Yes, because it's like overcoming her discomfort of like having something on her head, covering her ears, like wearing headphones, which she doesn't like, versus like the discomfort of having them off and being exposed to whatever sound. It's also like not sounds. Maybe I'm revealing too much about our daughter, but like sometimes when things are really scary, even if they're quiet, she'll
Cover
put on
her ears.
headphones.
Yeah.
Or cover her ears.
And that's funny because I do that when I watch scary movies. I don't really cover my eyes. I cover
Oh,
my
really?
ears. Yeah.
I just do eyes. I squint.
And that's funny because I don't consider myself like auditorily sensitive.
Yeah.
I
don't
do
consider
think
you that
Mari is.
Yes, she definitely is, and she
Yeah.
definitely gets that from me.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, both of you are very sensitive to like hearing. Because, yeah, her threshold to like covering her ears, I'd say, is much lower than most.
Yeah.
She'll cover her ears at anything.
Yeah.
If the rain is too loud, if, you know, if the dogs are barking, I don't know, anything.
But only non-consensual stuff, obviously. Like if she's like into a song or
song.
something, she's like, Dad, louder, louder,
Yeah, yeah,
louder.
yeah.
So, you know,
It's very much like you.
yeah, totally.
Okay, quality of mood,
Yeah,
right?
this is like your affect.
Yeah, I did mention this before, well, more so to the reaction but anyway, this is more so like your baseline mood, right? So generally, are you a positive, chirpy person or a more serious, analytical, calmer demeanor?
How would you describe me?
Calmer.
Yeah.
Is that really a question? I mean, it's like if I were to ask, how would you?
I wonder what the people at my new job would say.
Okay. The thing is, I think that you mask really well. And I think that can sometimes, like, especially if you're comfortable, you mask very well. And I think you can get really comfortable in certain spaces.
Especially if I'm really excited about something.
Yeah, and can come off as chirpy and positive. But I think your baseline is not that.
Not that at all. Yeah.
What would you say mine is?
You? It's interesting. It's kind of like, I'm trying to decide.
Really?
Yeah. What do you think it is?
I think I'm pretty positive and chirpy.
Well, I think that you're positive and chirpy too, but like, I'm trying to think of you like when you're relaxing, when you're not like interacting with other people, like how we just thought of me.
I think about like our Dailyo ratings. I feel like your baseline is a 3. My baseline is like a 4.
Out of 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Like if I'm having
I understand that.
Just to be clear, I do think I'm more positively and chirpy than you.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, if that wasn't clear, I do agree with that completely.
Okay.
The 8th trait is this trait of distractibility. Can a shiny object or a passing car.
Or your phone vibrating.
Yeah. And I said that kind of like sarcastically, and then halfway through I remembered we're talking about infants. And so like, yeah, a shiny object or a passing car. That's totally reasonable to distract a baby.
Okay, lastly, we're going to talk about attention span and persistence. Do we keep it going even if a task is hard? Do we get it done? Do we give up quickly? Can something hold our attention for a long time?
I think about video games. I know not everyone plays video games, but I'm thinking actually about the video game we've been playing with our daughter lately, Astrobot. Astrobot is a 3D platformer game, which if you don't know what video games lingo, it basically means you're a little character and you are jumping around in 3D space and you are, you're jumping over gaps and you're avoiding the environment basically. And so it's a really easy game for our daughter who's 4.5 to like sort of learn how to
like
do
jump.
that at all.
Move in that space. Yeah.
It's a super forgiving game, but there are still things that are challenging in it. And so like she'll get up against the wall and we'll be like, just try it again. Just keep trying. We know you can do it. And she, even things that she's done in the past, she'll still like, it's a lot. I still give up. You know what I mean? So like that kind of quality of like, this is challenging. I know there's something good on the other side, but it's too much work. You know what I mean? Like that difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I feel like, again, I do think that there's a lot of like worldly things that kind of impact these things outside of just like our nature, right? Especially like the older we get, like everything is very instant instantly gratifying. And so in part, like probably all of our thresholds and baselines are lowered.
All messed up.
Yeah, all kind of f***ed up and all that. But yes, with children, you get to see that a little bit more of like, okay, what does that internal motor look like? So yeah, it's been very interesting to see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I alluded to this earlier, right? But all of this temperament and just how we show up in life is associated to like the biology of our brain. And therefore like connected to some of, the other more tangible things, right? Like I mentioned earlier, like anxiety. When we talk about temperament, we do kind of have to look at the amygdala, which is part of the limbic system. We've been talking about temperament being this baseline sensitivity of our nervous system, essentially. How quickly is our alarm bells going off? And how long does it take for us to quiet them down? And so a big key player in that is the amygdala, right? We kind of describe the amygdala as like the smoke detector of the brain, of your nervous system. It is this tiny little almond-shaped part of the brain, and its primary job is really to scan the environment for threats. So really just like our smoke detectors are constantly scanning the environment for smoke and will go off if they detect any of it. Some amygdalas are hypersensitive. Like I think of the freaking smoke detectors in this house. We've had to uninstall a few just because you can't microwave something without it going off.
It's unbelievable. These things, like they're good enough for the
you
space
blow out a
shuttle.
candle and it's like,
Yeah.
and when you have a
3
sleeping
rooms
baby,
away.
yeah, it's like, okay, anyway.
NASA, call us. We have smoke detectors for your spaceship.
People are like that, right? There are some people who just have more sensitive smoke detectors in their bodies and where their body will respond and react to a lot of different alarm bells, right?
Even like really subtle ones, like nonverbal things in a conversation sometimes,
Correct.
body language,
Right.
the
And-
tone of voice.
And that kind of speaks a little bit to some of the traits of temperament that we mentioned earlier, like, for example, like the threshold of responsiveness, right? Like my threshold for noticing certain nonverbal traits might be different from your threshold, right? And so my amygdala might respond to something that is going completely over your head,
Yeah.
because you're just not on that same wavelength.
And to add to that, like that's our nature. But to go to the nurture part of it, we both have very different lived experiences and have talked to a lot of different people and mask in very different ways too.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can quickly see how it's truly a miracle that any two people can have a coherent conversation because there are just so many things going on beneath the surface, right?
Yeah. So that's basically the function of the amygdala, but the amygdala is part of the larger limbic system.
Yes, and the limbic system is more viewed as the like emotional engine. It kind of manages our emotions, memories, and arousal. Think of it as like the engine room of
Wait.
our brain.
You said arousal?
Yes, and not like your typical sexual arousal, but more of like your alertness.
Next.
And so part of that is the sympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system, you might have heard us talk about during our anxiety episode or whenever we talk about anxiety, because it's like one of those key players in anxiety.
Yeah, the SNS. If you ever hear us talk about the SNS, we're always talking about the center or this
Sympathetic nervous
the
system.
sympathetic nervous system. I almost said the somatic nervous system.
Wrong.
Incorrect S.
It kind of kicks off the fight, flight, freeze response, right? So this is like the part of our nervous system that activates, right? So when we talk about that, you might notice like your heartbeat is beating faster, your body temperature rises, you might notice sweaty palms or sweaty limbs or your stomach hurting.
Your vision might get more focused.
Yeah, this is all part of that system. And so, like I said, it's a key player in our anxiety. So if you have a particularly sensitive system that goes off a lot, it might help explain a little bit of what's going on with your anxiety if you also happen to experience anxiety. On top of that, we also have this idea of having to come down, right? So like the sympathetic nervous system alerts us to all these things, right? It kind of arouses our system. You notice all these changes happening in our kind of like baseline automatic responses, right? Like I said, breath, core temperature, heart rate, things we have no control over. Everyone has a different recovery period, essentially, right? So essentially how long it takes for your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of the nervous system that is in charge of re-regulating everything. So how quickly does that activate and work, right?
Yeah.
For any of my clients that have, been working with me, we can talk about ways in which we can activate our parasympathetic nervous system so that we could feel like we have a little bit more control over how we activate that and how quickly we can recover from these hits to our nervous system throughout the day. If you have a more sensitive nervous system, you might have more hits than the next person.
Yeah, and your hits might add up.
Yeah, they might be
faster.
harder hits.
I think about like me going to like a big event with a lot of people,
Like yesterday's party.
or like a very loud one. Yeah, well, I didn't go to that.
Yeah, well, I know.
Yeah, but something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would need to recover after something like that, like literally. Not like in the way that like the internet is like, oh, I need to recover. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like physically it will take him time for like all these systems to re-regulate.
Mm-hmm.
There are some common misconceptions when it comes to temperament. You know, this idea that like if you're born this type of temperament, then you're always this type of temperament. Back when we talk about Chess and Thomas, there are these kind of like 3 specific like temperament types, right? Mm-hmm. So depending on where you fall in the different like the 9 different traits.
Yeah, your answers to those questions.
Yeah, you could fall under like being difficult, being slow to warm, or being easy. Generally speaking, right, difficult babies, right, is kind of what they're labeled, are, you know, babies that maybe struggle with regularity, that struggle with certain thresholds, that maybe have higher intense emotional outbursts, you know, or maybe more easily distracted. So these are more considered, you know, or were labeled as difficult. Easygoing babies are the babies that are pretty regular, pretty mild-tempered, mild mood.
Such a good baby.
Predictable. Yes, you'll hear that. They're such a good baby, super chill, you know, they're really good. They can, you know, blah, blah, blah. So those are like the easygoing babies. Now, there's this middle type called slow to warm, which, full disclosure, I fully believe our daughter is. I think she's kind of like quintessential slow to warm. Slow to warm essentially are, I mean, they're kind of categorized as easygoing babies eventually.
Yeah.
Essentially, it takes them a little bit to get to that point. So they might be pretty regular, but it takes them a bit. You know, there has to be some comfort or some adjustments to that. You know, they might be easily adaptable, but again, takes them a bit. These are the kids that you might notice at the party stick by their parents, but by the end of the night, they're running around with all the other kids,
yes.
you know? And that's like absolutely our daughter. She'll go to a new place and stick by us for like a good half hour. And eventually she's eating the cake. She's playing with the kids. She's exploring the park, but it takes her a bit. And so with all that being said, right, there is this kind of common misconception that if you're born a difficult child, you're always going to be a difficult person.
Yeah, you're going to grow to be a difficult adult.
Right. And that's like kind of a mislabeling or a misuse of the word, right? Because, again, it really is just how we show up in the world. When we're children, we don't have a whole lot of say as to what happens in our lives. We don't actually have a say as to when we take our naps or when we eat, or how we go about doing things, or, you know, anything really. It's all kind of dictated by our parents. So what we often tend to find is that any children who maybe grew up being labeled as difficult or slow to warm, when they grow up and they have more autonomy over their day-to-day lives, their schedules, a lot of those things tend to dissipate.
Yeah, they thrive.
Yeah, like I think about, like, for example, our daughter hates, well, I'm not going to say hates, but she only likes to wear long sleeve shirts. Yeah. I don't know if it's a textural thing, a sensory thing.
I think it is like a wind sensitivity thing.
It could be. I'm not quite sure. We don't know. But she has communicated to us time and time again. She doesn't like short sleeves and she only wants long sleeves.
Yep.
Obviously, I am her mother, and there have been times I have put her in short sleeves because it's like 90 degrees outside. Yeah. And she's not happy, right? She is not happy about that whatsoever. In some future, when she has more autonomy, she can do what she wants, right? And even then, like, she's communicating that to me, but like, I don't know, man. I did not feel good about putting my kid in a long sleeve going outside. She knows her body better than I do. I firmly believe that. She will have more say and autonomy over what that looks like in practice when she's older, you know? And the same goes for so many kids who maybe struggle with, like, again, like school schedules, timing, meal times or menus, you know, what options are there to eat. Even I think about the freaking fluorescent lights. I remember hating being in high school and having those fluorescent lights over me all the freaking time. When we're adults, I never have the overhead light on. Like, we get a say as to what that looks like. So all of that, those are just less hits to our nervous system, right? So when we have more say over what our surroundings look like, our nervous system is not responding as much to those. So no, it is not a destiny. You are not always this type. You get a lot more say when you grow older.
And then there's also this misconception that temperament is the same thing as personality, like they're interchangeable in casual conversation. But temperament is like a biological foundation. Like that's the nature part of nature versus nurture. But personality is more like the results of your values, beliefs, experiences. You know, it's the house that you build on top of your foundation. Yeah, it's the nurture.
Yeah.
So it is distinctly different. You know?
Yeah, because like you can be a difficult person and still be an INFJ or whatever. You know?
I can't wait to do an episode about those.
Oh God, yeah. Have we not?
No, we haven't.
Have we not talked about personality?
No.
Or personality
assessments.
Tests? Are you sure?
I'm sure. We've talked about doing it so many times.
We haven't talked about assessments.
No.
And we haven't talked about personality in general?
No, not sure about that one. But
regardless,
I don't think we've talked about personality.
This is the foundation.
Yes, we need this temperament before we talk about personality.
Because, I mean, I do think that temperament is one of those things that is maybe almost indescribable in people. You know, like you kind of just get a vibe, you know, like you don't have to know everything about them to kind of just get a general sense of like where they might fall on all these different spectrums of all these different traits of temperament, right? And just generally get a sense of like, oh, like this person pops off quickly, or like, you know, like, oh, this person's chill, you know, or like, oh, that person's like immovable.
Oh, wow, that guy's got some dangerous energy right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like temperament like truly is a foundational thing. It's really cool. I love it. Okie dokie.
When we are talking about temperament, just like always in our show, we always want to bring it back to intersectionality. As you can probably no doubt imagine, temperament is different across different cultures. Like different types of temperament are more desirable versus less desirable. Like being like high reactivity, like being really boisterous and chirpy or whatever we said earlier. Some cultures that's celebrated, and in other cultures they'll hate you if you do that. Like that type of energy is super unwelcome in casual conversation.
Another common misconception, or not misconception, just ways in which like it kind of uniquely impacts people is through, of course, like the gender bias, right? I think oftentimes certain temperaments, depending on what gender you are assigned at birth, like could be used against you, could be used for you, you know, like, more reactive person can be, or, you know, if they're a man, could be labeled as like leader or like boss. I don't know.
Future leader, yeah.
Right. Charismatic. Assertive. Right. And of course, we all know that like that is not always the case when it's a woman or non-binary person or, you know, literally anything else. So just be mindful again of like, how are we perceiving these things?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Leadership versus aggressive or difficult, whatever, all that stuff. And like a similar sort of like double standard happens through racial stereotyping. So like people of color who have like a high intensity temperament can be like labeled like dangerous because of systemic bias, you know?
Angry.
Yes, angry.
Difficult to work with.
Yeah, so like people have to do tone policing. They have to mask just to stay safe.
Yeah. We don't think about how we show up in terms of temperament. You know, so like if you have to, like you said, kind of tone your temperament, that takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, because that's your nature.
Right. That's like, again, like your system is responding to certain things in the environment.
That's masking.
Very, very little do you, like very, very rarely do you have the time to actually think about how to show up in those situations. So, so yes, it is kind of a task to develop that skill.
Yeah. Speaking of developing that skill, do we have any? I think we have some techniques people can use at home.
Yeah, we sort of talked about it a little bit when we talked about like the more autonomous you are, the older you are. So yeah, this good fit audit. You know, this idea of like fitting your environment to things that better align with your temperament, I think is a good skill to start a practice, you know, like, again, like, for example, our daughter likes long sleeve shirts, right? So like her wardrobe now really consists of all long sleeve shirt, ones that are like moisture wicking and summer friendly, and other ones that are like good for the winter, right? So
Yeah.
like we, you know, starting to audit her wardrobe, for example, right? Buying long sleeve dresses, you know,
Yeah.
accommodating, right? So she can feel more autonomous. So cool, I can wear whatever is in my closet without it bumping up against my temperament or bumping up against this thing that upsets me, right?
Yeah. And even if you're like, if you're just doing an audit before you get to the buying phase, like some stuff like that mismatches with your temperament, you can't just like go and change immediately. Like if you are allowed or are like a really sensitive person and you do your audit and you're like, holy crap, I work in a really loud, chaotic place, and maybe that's a mismatch. You can't like just go and get a new job like right away.
No, but you could maybe get some earplugs,
Yeah,
or,
totally.
you know,
But, yeah,
accommodate in other ways. Yeah.
That's the point of the audit, though, is to like take account of all of the stuff
Yes.
that is affecting
Become
you. Because,
aware of it.
Yeah, because like you might not even be aware of all the cumulative stress that you're under just because of like this situation that might be changeable.
Similarly, you know, sensory mapping, you know, we kind of become a little bit more, again, aware of some of our sensory triggers. Do we get overstimulated by bright lights? I mentioned that earlier. We tend to keep our lights off.
Yeah, our overhead lights for sure.
I am very aware of the fact that our can lights are on right now.
I don't like it at all. We need lamps down here.
Yeah.
Don't talk about our cans to our listeners.
You know, I get pissed off when I go into the office because, okay, hold on. My office, my office, not my home office, when I get there, the lights turn on automatically, the overhead lights. I freaking hate those lights so much that, one, I turn them off immediately. If they're motion censored, so they just turn on without consent sometimes. If I'm really still in the office sometimes. And I've had to cover them up because, like, even when they accidentally turn on, something inside me triggers and I get so pissed off. I don't know what it is. So yeah, sensory mapping, like I said, I have covered those lights. I have bought some lamps to replace them.
Yeah, and go through all of your senses, like not just like light, not just eyes, not just ears. You know, maybe there's like a funky smell you should get to the bottom of in your space that's really messing up your vibe.
Truly, you know, a hidden culprit I noticed was like facial stimulation. Like, especially if you're a glasses wearer, that was something that would constantly
just adjusted our glasses.
I know, like would constantly overstimulate me. I wear makeup because I'm a woman, or like I'll wear like strip lashes that like. Or like hair in my, suddenly like my face just becomes so overstimulated, you know. If I'm, most of the time I'll have to like balance out, like, am I wearing glasses today or am I wearing makeup today? And I have to decide. Or like, am I wearing contacts? Because that contacts is another, I'm going on another tangent here. I'm so sorry. But like contacts is another stimulating thing that is like, you constantly have to balance for. Also, like, what kind of hairstyle am I doing? Is it going to keep my hair out of my face along with my glasses and my makeup and all that? Like, is it sweaty? Is that another so sorry.
Yeah. Sometimes I picture my face like I'm buried up to my face in sand. Like I'm laying on my back and just like my nose and my mouth are like exposed to air. And that's kind of how it feels to be like fully dressed up for winter sometimes. And that's why I'm so ready for it not to be winter anymore.
Oh yeah, I'm ready for that too.
Because I feel like it kind of gets to a similar kind of like claustrophobic oversensitivity stimulation kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like a weird kind of like offshoot of claustrophobia, like your face being like constricted and blocked and stuff.
I kind of describe it as like crawling out of your skin feeling.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, I've had enough of feeling this feeling.
Yeah.
Physically. Okay. And then lastly, a skill, a technique that I often encourage, and I'm sure you all have heard me talk about, is like this idea of like diaphragmatic breathing, or even just focusing your breath to more like paced breathing, I think is really important, because that actually activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which turns on, right? And I think we've talked about that, like when the parasympathetic nervous system is on, the sympathetic nervous system is kind of forced to be off. So anytime you can activate that, I think it does wonders to regulating your nervous system.
And if you aren't aware, box breathing has been updated after research was done. It's no longer 4 in,
4.
hold for 4, and breathe out for 4. Now it's 2-4-6, right? Or is it 4-4-6? 4-4-8.
I'm not quite sure. I know that you have to exhale longer than you inhale.
Yeah, so adjust accordingly based on nothing that I just said.
I think that, I don't know. I love this. I'm excited for the foundation we've laid here for
Our future personality and personality assessments episodes.
Yeah, maybe we should just do that next time.
I mean, I'd be fine with that. I've been dying to do a personality assessments episode.
All right, let's do it then. I mean, we've laid the foundation. Let's just jump right in and build a freaking house on top of it.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Then I'll see y'all here later.
Yeah, thank you
to
so
talk
much.
about personality. Yeah, thanks so much for joining us today and talking about temperament. We love y'all
Yes.
so much.
We appreciate you being here. We do this for you.
We thank you for joining us on Purple Friends. I've been your co-host, Joe.
And I've been your co-host, Co.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Purple Friends is an independent podcast produced by Vibe Therapy Services and is not a substitute for a session with a real therapist.
Our show art was created by me, Jocelyn Lang.
And our theme music is Nature Nurture by me, The Implied Bear.
Vibe Therapy is an Illinois-based private practice servicing clients in person at our Wheaton office and virtually throughout the state of Illinois.
We accept Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO, Aetna, and Cigna insurance. We also offer cash pay rates, financial assistance, and free 15-minute initial consultations where you can get a feel for our practice.
Think of it as a vibe check. Therapy doesn't have to feel clinical. Visit vibetherapyservices.com today to see if we vibe.